Hello again. In the last tutorial, I showed you how to add Box2d into your project. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create the world and how to add a body to your character so that he can have physics. So this is the entry point pretty much of the main. In the initialization area, I used to have the play button and the character, but I took that away. And in the initialization, what I'm going to have is the world. So in order to have the world, I have to create it first. So let's go ahead and go into headers here. Go ahead and create a new class. Create a header. And I'm going to call it world. Let's make sure that we go to our source file. Add that in. Let's go ahead and bring in the Box2d. And let's go ahead and bring in Oxygine. Oxygine framework. Just using namespace Oxygine. Now, since later we are going to be adding the character into this, let's go ahead and bring in the character header. Here it is. Okay. So now let's go ahead and create the class. It's gonna extend off of the actor class, since no sprite is needed. Let's go ahead and create our public and our private. Okay, so obviously we will need our constructors, world, and our deconstructor, world. Okay, now we're also going to have a virtual update in this class. Let's go ahead and add that. And it will have a parameter of update state, and it will pass by reference. Okay, now in our private section, we're gonna have to add in the Box2d world. So we're gonna say b2 world, and we're gonna say the name is world. We're also gonna need a scale. So this is gonna be a constant float. Let's call it scale. And this will equal 100. We're gonna need two functions as well to convert from a vector2 to a Box2d vector2, and the other way around. You can put this as globals, but I'm just gonna put them inside the classes. I'll be putting these two functions I'm gonna create right now into character as well. So, you don't have to do it this way that I'm doing it. I'm just gonna do it for demonstration purposes. But these two functions can be globals. That way you can grab them in any other class. So I'm gonna create another private here, and it is going to be a vector2. Name of the function is going to be convert, and you're going to take in a constant b2 vect2. You're going to pass that by reference and call that position. Now we're going to do the exact same function, but the other way around. So it's going to be a b2 vect2, same name, and it will be a constant vector2 will be passed by reference. There. So now when you need to convert the position of your object, you'll be calling these two functions. So up here in our variables, we still need one more variable, which is a constant float, and it is called a fixed time step. This will be used for our update right here to do our physics. So this will equal 1.0 float, and it will be divided by 60.0. Now, I think that is all that we need. Let's go ahead and create our CPP of this world. Let's go down to source, add, new item, CPP. Name it the same thing, world, edit, and go ahead and include, the character. And I still spelled it wrong. Wait a minute, no. World, add in the world, .h. There you go. Okay, so now we're gonna do world constructor. Inside of the constructor, what we're gonna have is we're gonna have the world, the Box2d world, be the same size as our window. So we're gonna have to get the stage for that. So I'm gonna show you this right here, right now. So let's go ahead and comment this. Go ahead and say set size of this object to the size of the window. So now you're gonna say set size. Call that function, and we're gonna get the stage. And we're gonna point towards its size. So go ahead and get the size. There you go. And let's create the world. Let's go ahead and comment that in. Create the physics world. So now our variable that we did in our header file, which is world, we're gonna go ahead and say new b2 world right there. Now this is gonna need a Box2d vector2. So we're gonna say b2 vec2, and this will be the gravity of the world. So in my little world right here that I'm creating, I don't want any gravity in the x direction, so I'm just gonna put a 0 in there. In the y direction though, I do want gravity to go downward. So since our 0, 0 coordinates are at the top left, we're gonna have to say 150 That's how much I'm gonna give it for gravity. That way, the gravity goes downward because it's adding that number into the physics. Let's go ahead and say 150. And there you go. You created your Box2d world. So now in here, we're going to create the character because we want to add our character into this world. So since we already added him over here, what I'm going to do is call him and create him. Character SB. Call him player. New character. This character is gonna require 3 parameters right now. It's going to need the world. It will also need the position where we're gonna put him. So I want him about half of the screen size. So that's where I want to put him, right smack dab in the middle of the screen. So we're gonna go ahead and get the size of this class of the world. I'm gonna divide that by 2. So this function right here, get size, will get the width of the screen, and we'll get the height of the screen. And we are dividing it by 2, so the character should be smack dab in the middle of that screen. And we will need to scale this, and we're just gonna put a 1. Character doesn't have these parameters right now, but we'll come back to this class in a little bit once we're done with this class, and we will add those parameters, and we will create the body for the characters, to the character and everything. So right now, let's just leave it like that. You'll have this error. That's fine. We'll come back to this later. So we'll say add child, and we're gonna say player. That's about it for the constructor. So let's go ahead and create the constructor. Tilde world. Okay. Nothing will go in there. So let's go ahead and do the virtual update. Do updates. This will need a constant update state that we passed in. Let's call it US. And there you go. So now in here, we need to call this world that we created. Let's go ahead and say world. And we're going to step into it. So with that variable that we created in the header, which is called fixed time step. I don't know why it's not coming up. Oh, wait a minute. You're gonna call the function step here. There you go. Fixed time step. And we will divide this time step by the delta time of this virtual update. Let's go ahead and divide. Oops. US dot delta time. There you go. So now we are going to need the iterations, which I will put 6. And we will need the position iterations, which I'm going to put 2. So that's it for that step. So now we're going to create a B2 body. We're going to call this function, this class body. And we're gonna say world get body count. Nope, not count, list. So we're gonna get all the bodies that are active in the world. So that's what that function does. Now we're gonna have to create a while loop. Okay, and while there is something in the list of this body variable, we're gonna keep looping through this while loop. So we're gonna need to get the actor class, and I'm just gonna call it actor. We're gonna save cast this to make sure that it is an actor. And we're gonna say the body variable. We're gonna get the user data. Now we need the next body. So let's go ahead and say we're gonna store the next body in this variable that we're gonna create right now. So we're gonna say b2 body. I'm gonna call it next. And I'm gonna say body variable get next. This function will go to the next body in the list. So now we've done that. And we need to check if actor equals true. We are going to go ahead and get its position. So this is going to be a constant b2 vec2. No, wait a minute. It's going to be by reference. I'm going to call this position. I'm going to say body get position. And that'll get the position of the body. And I'm going to say actor set position. And we're going to call that convert function. And we're going to pass it the b2 vec2. So position right there. Now we're going to set the rotation. So we're going to say actor get rotation. If it has a rotation, it'll rotate it with this function. So I'm going to say body inside, pass it in as a parameter. And I'm going to get the angle. There you go. Hold on a minute. Why is this giving me an error? Too many arguments in function call. Interesting. Too many arguments. Let me think of that. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I see. I'm getting it instead of setting it. Make sure you have set rotation. There you go. Okay. Now, we're going to remove the actor if he falls lower than the screen height. So when he's falling down at the very edge of it, if he falls right down below it, he's gonna be deleted. We don't want him to be active anymore because he's obviously not on the screen anymore. So he's dead. Go ahead and comment that. So we're gonna say remove actor if Y position is greater than screen height. So I'm going to create an if get, I don't know, wait. We're going to say actor get Y. Okay. Now, if it is greater than get height, the height of the screen. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and add 50 to that because I don't want it to, when it just hits the very bottom of the screen, to just disappear out of nowhere. We want it to be out of the screen already and delete it. Because in a real game, you really wouldn't want to have something disappear just like that unless you have an animation already set up and whatnot. So I'm just going to add plus 50 so it deletes right outside of the view. So now inside this if statement, we're going to go ahead and say body set user data. And we're going to set it to 0. Now in the world, we're going to destroy the body. We're going to pass it in. And now the actor, we will detach. That way he's no longer a part of the tree. After that, that'll be the end of this if statement over here, the actor. So when we move on, we will get the next. So we're gonna equal body be next. So the body up here that we created, since it is still at the first body in the list, down here after it does all this if statement, down here right before it goes right back up and it checks, we want it to go to the next one, to the next body, which we did right here, where we say next body get next. So this variable right here is holding our next body if there is one. So right down here we're going to say body equals next. So when it goes up here, if there is another body, it will do the exact same thing until there is no more in the list. Once there's no more in the list, it will leave the loop and it will end the function. But since this is a virtual update, it will continue to do this forever. Well, not forever, until the screen closes anyways. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and create our two convert functions that we have. Let's go down here. It's a vector 2. We're going to say world convert. Inside of it, we had a constant b2 vec2. And we're passing it by reference, position. Okay, now in here, we're going to return a vector2. And we're going to do position dot x times the scale and position dot y times the scale. So that's it for the vector2 side. So let's go ahead and do b2 vec2. So world convert constant vector2 pass by reference position. And here we're going to return a vector2 vec2 wait a minute, vec2, a box2d vec2. So now position dot x, instead of it being multiplied, it will be divided for the world. So divided by the scale. And in the y direction, the same thing. Position dot y divided by the scale. And our world class is done. In here, let's add the world to the initialization function in main. So let's go ahead and add him in. Include the world. Now down here, we forgot to do something. We forgot to save cast this. Actually make this a smart pointer. So we're gonna do type def oxygen intrusive pointer. We're gonna say world, and we're gonna call it SP world. There you go. Save that. Now in here, let's go ahead and create the world. So SP world, let's call it world equals a new world. Now we're gonna get the stage, and we are going to add the child, which is our world. There you go. Save that. Now, right now, we can run this just to make sure that it runs, that there are no errors. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this right now. Gotta let it compile here for a little bit. Wait, we got an error. Oh, right. In CPP, comment out the character. Let's comment that out. Go ahead and rebuild. And there you go. Everything right now is working. We look at our tree. Our world is in there. So let's go ahead and close this up and move into the character class. Go into the header. From the last tutorial, I did delete some things in here. So, you know, if yours doesn't look that this way and you want to follow the tutorial, you can go ahead and delete it. If not, create a new character, do whatever it is that you want to do. So right now, what this class is gonna need is it's gonna need the body. It's gonna need a velocity. It's gonna need a scale for the two convert functions, which I said earlier in the tutorial. If you want to make it global, you can go ahead. So you don't have to do this, but this is the way I'm doing it. So I'm gonna go ahead into the private section. And I'm going to create a B2 body. It will be a copy of it. Body, there you go. We're going to need a B2 vec2 actually. Vec2. And this will be the velocity of this character. Constant float scale equaling 100 F. And the same to, I'm gonna go ahead and copy it from here. And these two functions. Okay. And I think that is it. Save that. Now, just to get these two functions out of the way, I'm just going to go ahead and copy it from world. Control C that. Oop. Let's go into the CPP. And let's go ahead and add them in down here. Okay, that's out of the way. Character. There you go. Now, inside the constructor, I forgot to add in the parameters for the character. So inside of the world header, actually in CPP, in here, you see that we have, let me uncomment this real quick. We are passing in the world, the position that we want it in, and the scale. So in the header, I'm gonna go ahead and make the constructor have those parameters. So in B2 world, get a copy of it. I get a pointer to it actually. Go ahead and do what was it? Position. Yep. Vector 2 position. Pass it by reference. We're also gonna need a float, which is going to be the scale, which I'm gonna have a default by 1. There it is. Now we can go into the CPP and put those in. B2 world. Make a pointer to it. Call it world. A constant vector 2. Position. And the float scale, which is going to be equal to 1. Okay. Now this is from a past tutorial where I give it the sprite right here. So you don't have to touch these. So right below these, I'm going to go ahead and start the creation of the body. Create the body. Actually, body properties. Okay, so now this needs a body definition. So we're gonna do a Box2d body def right there. I'm gonna call it body def. Now the body def variable, we're going to do the type of it will be a B2 dynamic body. There it is. That way it can be moved. That way it's not a static body where you won't be able to move it. Since this is a character, you want him to move. Now in the body def, we're going to go ahead and set its position. So position equals convert the position parameter. Now, in the body variable, we're going to go ahead and say world. And we're going to call the function create body. And we're going to pass by reference the body def. So reference body def. There you go. Now we need to set the scale to this character, which is already 1. But we're going to go ahead and say set scale to scale. There you go. And we will now create the polygon shape for this character. So I'm gonna go ahead and say B2 polygon shape. We'll call this variable box. And then we need the size as well. So B2 vec2. And I'm gonna call this SZ. And it'll equal the convert of get the size okay, and we will divide this by 2. There you go. Okay, so now after we get the size of it, we're gonna have to for the polygon shape, we're gonna set it as a box. So we're gonna say set as box, and we're gonna pass it size X and size Y. There you go. Now we need to create the fixture for the body. So body create fixture. We're going to pass by reference the box variable. And for density, we're going to go ahead and do 0.0. After that, we're going to have to set the user data of the body variable. So set user data. We're going to pass it this. And the velocity variable that we had, we're going to go ahead and say body get linear velocity. I'll call that function. And our constructor is done. That's it for the constructor. Now, I want to move this character with my keys. So in this do update, I deleted everything that was inside of the do update from my past tutorials, so that I can show you something different. So in this do update, what we're gonna have is a constant uint 8. I'll call it data. We're gonna go ahead and get the keyboard state from SDL. Get keyboard state. Pass it a null. Okay. Now, up here in the constructor, this starts it right there. This gives the variable velocity something to have. In our do update, we want to constantly give it the velocity of our object. So I'm gonna go ahead and say velocity body get linear velocity. Now we're gonna go ahead and do a speed. We're gonna have it equal 200 dot f, and now we're gonna check to see what key is pressed. So I want data SDL underscore get scan code from key, and we want, I'm gonna go ahead and say SDL key underscore D. So my key D will move my character to the right. So this is where it's gonna change a little bit. In the last tutorial, I created a variable called animation. You don't need to do that in this situation. You can create other variables to hold other sprites. If you have like a animation for when he jumps, an animation for when he crouches down or something. For my situation, where all of my frames are in this one image that I already passed in, I don't need to create that. So I just need to do add tween. And we're going to say the sprite class tween. Tween a name right there. And inside of this, where I put animation in my past tutorials, instead of putting that variable, I'm going to put this. No. Wait. Sorry about that. I'm going to say get res anim. So this will get the sprite that it already has. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do 501 from the past tutorials. I just want it to loop once. Okay. So now if the data, I want it to detect when the key A is pressed. So I'm gonna go ahead and say SDL underscore get scan code from key, SDL key underscore A. So when that is pressed, hold on. Oh, yep, right there. Whoops. Okay. All right. We're gonna do the same thing over here. We're gonna add the tween. Control C, Control V. Now, this handles the animation. We already did that. So now we need to add in both of these. We're gonna add velocity towards the X direction. So in the D key, we're gonna say velocity dot X, and we're gonna plus equal the speed times the delta speed. So us dot dt. We're gonna divide that delta speed by 1000, which equals 1 second. So there's that. So this right here is adding velocity to the right direction. So now we need to grab the body variable, and we're gonna have to set the linear velocity. Oops. There you go. set linear velocity, and we're going to pass it the variable velocity. Now I'm going to copy and paste this for A, but instead of it being plus, I'm going to go ahead and say negative. That way it'll move to the left. Now, let me double check everything. Make sure everything is fine. And everything seems in order. So now when I run this, our character should be in there. Nope, we got an error. Where we got an error? Target error. The task. Factor. Code task could not be loaded. Huh. Okay. Got ourselves a little problem here. Take a look. Convert. Step. Okay. Okay, so we got the player class. And we passed in the world, the position, scale, time step, body. Okay, next. Okay. Let me go in here. Let me take a look. This one's a weird error. It's being used by another process. Huh. I'm guessing it has to do with my character. Because when I ran this before, it worked. Guess not. So where's my error at? Parameter 3. Character H10. He's talking about these converts. Let me take a look here a minute. I don't think I've ever had this error. I think it's the scale. Let me go ahead and just say scale like that. And let me just go ahead and say like that. Let me try that. Oh, there you go. So it was the scale. Okay, it's a good thing, show you guys those little mistakes. That way, if something bad goes wrong with you, you guys can go ahead and kind of get an idea of how to fix these things. I don't think enough videos go along with that. They don't show these kind of mistakes, and I think they're pretty valuable to show. So let's go ahead and go into CPP and uncomment this. See if it builds. And there he is. Move my key around. Boom. Now, remember that in our world CP right here, if we scroll down here real quick, if his Y is greater than the window, he should be deleted, right? So when I go to the tree here, he got deleted. He's no longer there. So there you go. You got yourself a Box2d little character in a Box2d little world. Happy development. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave me a comment. Or if you want to suggest any future tutorials, by all means, leave a comment. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. See you guys next time.